Hey everyone, so we're going to take a look at Avalanche today, Avax, and take a look at some of those key price targets that we're at the moment so we know exactly where to buy if we go up or if we go down from here, and how to make money and profit during this bear market. So if you want to follow my journey, know where I'm buying, follow my altcoin picks, and generally make money for the long term in this market, go ahead, drop me a like down below, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to hit the bell icon as well. That makes sure that you stay up to date and get all the notifications for my videos. So without further ado, let's crack on. Now, whilst I do usually start the video taking a look at some of the downside targets because I like to focus on those areas of value to be buying into, I do think that there is a reasonable chance that not only Bitcoin but some of the altcoins are going to have a little bit of a bounce soon. And because of that, I want to talk to you about some of the short-term upside targets that I'm looking at for Avalanche, because we have hit some key areas as well. Now, just looking at this on the macro scale, if we have a look at some of the volume profile, this is why I focused on low volume, you know this, okay, is that, like I said, I look at some of these low volume areas here, which is in confluence with where we've seen some bounces from in recent weeks. And again, we've undercut this low that we've just reached at $23, came back down below at about $21, and we're now seeing some kind of bounce. Whether that has some sustained move to the upside, we're going to have to wait and see. But you can see again, look, where did we see price support in the past? Exactly at this 23 level. So that's why I'm looking at this as a potential area for Avalanche to bounce from here. And again, what do we focus on? Major order blocks to tap into so that we can take advantage of price bounces. And you can see that this is really the start of the down candle before the up move that broke the market structure into new highs. And you can see that that bounce was at around that $21 mark, which is exactly where we bounce from at the moment. Okay, so whilst I think that we do potentially have a little bit of a ways to go in this bear market, I think that it is reasonable for us to potentially bounce from here. And you can see that above us we've got the main area, I would say, of about $52 to break into, and then we've got another low volume area here of a $40 area. So I do think there is potential to bounce to these levels. Now, if we just clean up the chart as well, okay, again, we can see that the main area for us that we want to look at above us, for me, is going to be this floor support, which it used to be support, and then once we broke it, we've now flipped it, and it's going to be acting as resistance. But you can see that this area here that I'm just marking out and circling here, somewhere between the $54 to $70 region, is the last area that we really broke down from in price. So if we were to move to the upside, I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest with you, for some of these altcoins to really, you know, have a big surge of about 50, 60, 100% even, okay, before we make that next leg lower. That's how, you know, markets work. In the same way that we get massive corrections when we're moving up in a bull market, we still get massive corrections and reversions to the mean back to the upside when we're in systematic and harsh downtrends. And if we just clean that up, like I said, if we have a look at some of the Fibonacci relationships over here as well, what we can see is if we just take off the fib levels, you can see that we've got a 0.382 at about that $50 mark, okay. And I will speak about the 236 and the 382 when we're in you know, an accelerated trend, is when we get some sort of reversion to the mean to these levels, we do tend to see price reaction. So that's why I mentioned $40 over here, this order block, okay, and we'll zoom into this in a moment. And again, at that 382 is somewhere at this floor support that we broke down from. So I think those are the upside targets that I could see us getting to. I don't see us challenging like $100, or even, I think, getting above $69, $70. I think those will be like really optimistic targets in this bear market. But you know, those are the main upside targets. And we just drill this down to the 4-hour chart, clean up this chart over here, and you can see again what are we seeing? We're seeing this aggressive selling over here, and we can see that the selling is just starting to round off here, okay, and the selling is not becoming as aggressive. So, you know, this could just be some kind of, like, you know, accumulation consolidation pattern before we move back to the upside, okay. So And you can see over here that this price action, this is the $40 area that I was talking about over here, okay, that we got back in at the start of May. And again, we've got over here between $50 and $70, which I'm eyeing up. So I would potentially be, you know, looking to maybe offload some Avax positions here if you are taking this as a trade. But I don't see Avax getting much higher than this big yellow line. And again, you can see that previously, just look left, and that's basically where all the horizontal resistance and support has been in the past, and where all the low volume areas are. What I've mentioned about Bitcoin and some of the other altcoins so far as well is that because we've seen so many red candles in a row, I am expecting some sort of reversion to the mean and some sort of you know, break in trend here pretty soon, because it is very unusual to just see week on week on week of bleeding, okay? Even when we go straight down in you know, fast fashion, we do tend to see some sort of pause in price. And historically speaking, whenever we have dropped 79% or so, okay, 80% for most altcoins, okay, you do tend to see at least some sort of relief or bounce over here, okay? So you know, 70% correction with all of these red candles into this order block. You can see this price action here again really clearly on the weekly, okay, that we've just basically tapped. So that's why, again, I'm looking at that potential upside action. And you can see again on the weekly chart over here, pretty clear that when we draw just this yellow line over here, this is where we've seen all the major you know, price action support rejections before. So let's keep an eye on some of these upside targets, as we don't want to be shorting or selling at the bottom of a parabolic move to the downside. As we're about halfway through the video, what I want you to do is quickly comment me down below with where you think Avalanche is going, and let me know down below if you want me to cover any more videos so I can give you the same kind of analysis on all the other altcoins. Let me know down below, and of course, show me some love by subscribing to the channel, liking the video. That massively helps me out. And without further ado, let's crack on. So, having said that, I do still see that there is a ways to go towards the bottom of this bear market, and if we do get a relief up here, then I am expecting us to basically form some kind of consolidation or accumulation. And I think that the lowest that we can potentially go in this bear market, in my opinion, because we're starting to get a little bit of a ways into the bear market, we can see how Bitcoin is behaving, but I don't see us getting much lower than about this $10 mark. We might get down there towards the, you know, the latter part of the year, because, you know, if I just bring up Cardano here, is quite a good example, because that was a layer 1 protocol in the last bear market, and you can see that basically when we hit these floors and, you know, made these massive moves to the downside, we did get these massive bear market rallies, again moved all the way down, moved up, and then moved down again to basically create new lows. So don't think that altcoins can't continue to bleed pretty hard, okay? But you just need to know that when you're buying anywhere in these areas, that for the long term, they're probably going to be good areas to be buying into. But again, let's just drop it back to Avax. So the main reasons that I'm looking at some of those price targets is the obvious floor horizontal support that we can see over here, and you know, anywhere within here, if we do continue to consolidate, move up and move back down, and we're above $10, this is still technically forming macro bullish uptrends, where we've got our low, our lower low, our higher low over here that we made 1 year ago last summer. And if we were to continue to chop around towards the back end of this year, and we may be based out somewhere above $9-10, and then we basically, you know, accumulated here and then move to the upside, that's the sort of pattern that I would be expecting. You know, then that would still be higher highs and higher lows on the massive long-term chart of Avax. So we've got our low volume areas coming in here again at somewhere at about that $9-10, so you can see over here, and that's why I focus on those low volume areas, because that's where you get those massive price reactions and big capitulation moves down to. So I'm looking at that, and if we just drop this down to the daily chart as well, we actually have you know, the absolute lowest that I think it would go is we might undercut some of these lows, maybe towards the real bottom of the bear market at $9. But if you're bullish on Avax, really my recommendation would not be to wait down over here. But you can see that the real down move, okay, before we broke market structure was actually at about $14. So the main areas that I'd be keeping an eye on if we break $20 is about $14, okay. I think is a good place to be snagging in some Avax, because we're going to be in this order block over here, okay. And you need to, you know, realize that that's basically how the market moves. It moves in order blocks. People, you know, when we retest key areas of price action, then we're looking to form higher highs and higher lows over the long term, and that's essentially how they're formed. And also, if we just take a look at some of these Fibonacci relationships, which is quite interesting, if we have a look at the extension of the waves that we got back in November and January, okay, just take this off fib scale, you can see that we're basically getting a 1-to-1 relationship over here, okay, at about $10 as well, which is pretty interesting. So we're getting some Fibonacci, you know, targets to be aiming for to the downside over here. And then also, if we actually take a look at the extension of this main wave from November that we got all the way down to our crash in January, then you can see again that if we put this one on the fib scale, because that will give us a better idea, then we are getting a 2.618 again extension over here. So definitely some Fibonacci targets to aim for, and you can see that at the 1.618, unsurprisingly, we've seen some reaction. But like I said, you want to tie some of these indicators in to you know, with multiple indicators to give you that confluence. And if we just take a quick look at Avax Bitcoin, okay, just to sort of wrap this up as well, you can see that, you know, horizontal support resistance is typically quite important for this stuff. And similarly on the Avax chart, Bitcoin, okay, it looks sort of fairly similar, where we have this order block back here that we made in July, okay, just pinning this over here. This is a snapshot that I'd be looking at, is that again we might be able to grind here, or, you know, chop up and basically have a little bit of a rally. But if we move back down and take out these Satoshi levels of about 7,000, which is where we've seen recent bounces from, I would expect us to start dropping down to somewhere at around that 4,000 Satoshi mark and that 5,000 Satoshi mark into this area, and again creating higher lows, okay, over the long term like this. And we want a chart that is essentially trending up and to the right like this, and over time, you know, make those massive gains and massive highs in cryptocurrency. You can't get massive percentage gains without the volatility, and that's basically why we are in crypto. So if we just take a measured move from here, you know, anywhere between 40 to about 50% downside in Avax Bitcoin if that was to occur. And again, we speculate that Bitcoin from here was to drop about 20-30% from current prices, okay, that puts us at about a $20 Avax, and again about a 40 to 50% drawdown from those prices, you can see puts us bang in that order block at about $12 to about $10. So yeah, I think this is the key level to look out for the long term if we drop down from $20 and from those current prices that we are at. So to wrap up, I think that we probably have started the accumulation process, and I think, like I said, similar to Solana, the range of some of these accumulation phases are going to be quite large, of like 200-300%, because if we do move up to about $40, $50, something like this, and then we basically chop around, or we just come back down here, test this order block, and then start moving up, okay, either way, you know, I do expect the phase of accumulation and consolidation to look something like this for Avalanche, where we basically chop around somewhere between $40, $50, $70 and anywhere as low as $9, $10, $14, okay. But when you get a chance to ladder in at some of these lower prices, I would take it, in my opinion, because I think if you're bullish on Avax like I am long term, then, you know, it's going to be a good buy for that next bull market. And basically, you know, when we get these massive consolidations, if we start to see, you know, price range sideways for a very, very long time, again, I'm just using Cardano as an example because on a chart point of view, it does look quite nice, is that you see that we basically had a sideways consolidation between November 2018 to March 2020. That's like a year and a half, okay, of ranging sideways. But look at the range in price. It was a 400% move from bottom to top, okay. And again, downside moves of about 70-80% as well. So, you know, just something to bear in mind. So when you get some of those lower price targets to be aiming for, then I would say take the opportunity. So if you got some value from this video and you learned something new and you want to follow my journey with what I am doing in this bear market, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and obviously hit the bell icon to stay up to date with all my videos. So until the next video, I will catch you in the next one.